Fusion Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.
Good day. You are welcome to Fusion Mobile e-learning class. My name is Bolaji. I'm here to speak on the subject mathematics, and the topics before us today is bearing. Bearing. What we are going to be looking at is definition of bearing, 4 cardinal points. Definition of bearing and 4 cardinal points. What is bearing? Bearing is defined as the clockwise angular relationship between two distant places measured in degrees from the north. I check it again. Is defined as the clockwise angular relationship between two distant places measured in degrees from the north. The diagram of 4 cardinal points are these. This is the 4 cardinal points we have. North, south, east, and west. These are the 4 cardinal points that we have. North, south, west, and east. These are the 4 cardinal points we have, which also can be simplified as this. We have north, south, west, east. We have what is called northwest. We have northeast. We have southeast. And we have southwest. Therefore, all these are called political zones, geopolitical zones. But these are called 4 cardinal points. Nigeria is divided into 6 geopolitical zones. We have the north, northwest, southwest, northeast, southeast, south-south. Now, what is the meaning of cardinal points? Cardinal point is the vertical axis. Cardinal point is the vertical axis. This is our vertical axis. Cardinal point is the vertical axis. And horizontal axis. This is our horizontal axis. That intersect themselves at the point of 0, that intersect themselves. So this is the horizontal point. So cardinal points, they are vertical axis and horizontal axis that intersect themselves at the point of 0, which is here. So this is called 4 cardinal points. At the point at which they intersect called 0 is called origin. Origin. So in bearing, we consider 4 cardinal points as a means of us moving from one point to the other. I'd like us to solve these few examples so that we'll be able to understand the meaning of bearing. An aeroplane, example 1, flew from city G to city H. This is from city G. Let's make our city to be city G. From city G to city H on a bearing of 150 degrees. I want to show us something in this topic. Now, the angle here is 360 degree. The angle here is 90 degree. The angle here is 180 degree. The angle here is 270 degree. Now, any angle greater than 180 degree is called reflex angle. Any angle between the acute angle and obtuse angle is 90 degree. Any angle greater than 90 degree is fall between 180 degree and 90 degree. Now, this point could be 0 degree, 90, 180, 70, 360 in a what? Clockwise directions. Now, our movement between all these degrees is calibrated from 0 to 360 degree. That's the importance of 4 cardinal points, showing us degrees of our movement. Now, in bearing now, pertaining to the example I'm about to solve now, is that an aeroplane flew from city G to city H on a bearing of 180 degrees. Now, we have to make our north to be very important. This is city G. On a bearing of 150 degrees. Now, from here, it crossed 90 degrees and it lies between 90 and what? 180 degrees. I've told you any number that lies from here, this is 90, this is 180. 90 plus 90 will give us 180. 180 plus 90 will give us 270. 270 plus 90 will give us 360 degrees. So the angle lies between 0 degree and 180 degree. So they now said an aeroplane flew from city G to city H on a bearing of 150 degree. So it's in between the second cardinal point and the third cardinal point. This is the first cardinal point, second cardinal point, third cardinal point. Now, 150 degree to city H. So this is our city H. In reference to north and south, this is our north, this is our south, this is our west, this is our east, this is our north, this is our west, this is our east, this is our south. 180 degree. Now, on a bearing of 150 degree, full stop, the distance between G and H is what? The distance between this point and this H here, because this is city H and city G is 300 kilometer. Is 300 kilometer. We put our 300 kilometer here. Now, the angle between this place to this place, this is 150, and here is what I told you earlier on is 90 degrees. How do we know the angle that falls between city G and city H? Because we have to know the angle. They say from city G to city H is on a bearing of 150 degrees. Knowing fully well that between here and here now we have 90. 150 minus 90, we have 90 here. It's going to give us 60 degrees. So here we have 60 degrees and here we have 30 degrees. Because any angle that forms at the right angle will give us, the sum of angle in the right angle is 90 degrees. So from here to here is 90 degrees. 90 degrees, 150 minus 90 degrees will give us 60 degrees. So 90 degrees minus 60 degrees will give us 30 degrees. Now, we have what is called alternating angle. I hope we still remember alternating angle. If here is 30 degrees, here will be 30 degrees. Therefore, our angle that lies here is 30 degrees. Why this one is now 60 degrees. Now, it then flew to a distance of 450 kilometers. if a distance of 450 kilometers to city H on a bearing of 60 degree, on a bearing of 60 degree, we have 30 degree here, we have 60 degree here. On a bearing of what? 30 degree. That shows that from here to this point, this place will now be 60 degree, because this is 30 degree. 30 plus 60 will give us what? 90 degree. So this angle here, we start from here. This is the place where we take our bearing to city J. To city J. From here to here is called city J, where we have our 4 cardinal points. This is another city that forms city J on an angle of 60 degrees. Good. And the question now continues. On a bearing of, calculate to correct reasonable degree of an accuracy the distance from G to H. The distance from G to J. The distance from G to J. Therefore, this is how this will lie from G to city J. These are a city J, this is city H, and this is city G. So now, what is the distance between city H and city J? They say it's on a distance of 450 kilometers. A distance of 450 kilometers. If this place is 60 degrees, this place will be what? 30 degrees. Because some of the angle in the right angle is 90 degrees. How do we now know the angle that fall in city J? The angle that fall at city J, remember an alternating angle, 30 degrees will form 30 degrees here, 60 degrees will form 60 degrees here. Now, the question they ask us to find the distance between city G and J first. Find the distance between city G and J. How do you find the distance between city G and J? It's very important to know that when we're dealing with our angle, in our first topic, trigonometry ratio, we remember what is called opposite and hypotenuse. We remember when we use SOHCAHTOA. This is where we apply our SOHCAHTOA method. But if we want to apply our SOHCAHTOA method, we have to apply what is called cosine rules. We have to apply what is called sine rules. We have to find the sides, because this is a triangle. When you look at it, it forms a triangle. So we are looking for the side. This side is known. This side is known. The angle is known. The angle is known here, because the alternating angle that form 60 degree forms 60 degree, 30 degree form 30 degree. So we know the angle here, and we know the angle that this thing is facing here. So this 90 degree is facing this angle here. But we don't know our x, because this is our x. Therefore, the method that which we can use is to find the side of this triangle here. We are going to find the side of this triangle by using what is called cosine rules. By using what is called cosine rule. And applying cosine rules, we are going to find the side of this. And how do we find it? Is by ensuring that this side is unknown. The distance between G and H is unknown. So how do we find the distance? That is why bearing is a relationship that determines the distance between 2 points. Determine distance between 2 points. Now, the distance between these is by using a formula which is called cosine rules. And how do we solve it? Is using this side to be A, making this place to be A. Let our x equal to A. Then our B is this side. Then our C is going to be this side. So we have side C, side B, and side A, so as to find our value of the distance between G and H. Therefore, to find the value of A, we use this. A square is equal to B square. A square is equal to B square plus C square minus 2BC cos A. A square equal to B square plus C square minus 2BC cos A. What is our A square? Look at the diagram above. I say let this place be A. We make this place to be A. The distance they asked us to calculate. Then I made this side to be B. The angle that faces CTJ. I make this side to be C. The angle that faces CTG. We cannot substitute all this value into it by saying CGJ square, because GJ is representing A, is equal to what is our B square? GH square. GH square plus what is our C square? Our C square is HJ square minus 2DH times HJ cos, what is the angle that lies between this A here? That is why I said 30 plus 60 degree, which will give us 90 degree, cos 90 degree. This is the sum of the angle 30 degree, 60 degree, which will give us 90 degree. Let's substitute our value. GJ square is equal to, what is our GH square? Which is 300 square plus HJ square. What is our HJ? 450 square minus 2 times 300 times 450 cos 90 degree. 300 square plus 450 square minus 2 times 300 times 450 cos 90 degree. I'd like you to use your calculator to find cos 90 degree. What is cos 90 degree in your calculator? Now, before then, as you are checking cos 90 degree, our 300 square is equal to 90,000. Check your calculator. Plus, what is 450 square? Check your calculator. Is 202,500. I guess 202,500 minus 2 times 300 times 450. 2 times 300 times 450. 2 times 300 times 450. So 450 times 300 first, before you now multiply it by 2, will give us 2 times 135,000. 2 times 135,000. And check your calculator. Cos 90 degree will give us 0 times 0. Good. We still have our GJ square here. 90,000 plus 202,500. 90,000 plus 202, that will give us 292,500. 292,500 minus 2 times 1,500, 2 times 135,000 times 0. 2 times 100 will give us 270,000 times 0 equal to GJ square. GJ square is equal to 292,500 minus 0, because any number multiplied by 0 will give us 0. 270,000 times 0 will give us 0. So we are left with 292,000. GJ square is equal to 292,500. How do we now find GJ? Because they say it's GJ we should find, not GJ square. Therefore, GJ is equal to root of 292,500. 292,500. I want you to press your calculator. Root 292,500. And the answer, check it very well, supposed to be 540.37. 540.37, which is 540.37 kilometer. Remember, you have to put your unit because that's the distance they asked us to find from city G to city J. That's the distance. So we have 540.37 kilometer. That's the distance. That's the distance. It's the largest distance because when the aeroplane moves from city G to city H, it covers 300 kilometers. When it now diverts its attention, it moves on a 60 degree and move 450 kilometers to city J. Then how do we now find the distance between city G and city J? That's why we have to use this formula so that we can get the accurate answer. And the distance it moves is 540.37 kilometers. I would like us to digest this topic bearing once again, and I would like us to solve few questions so that you'll be able to understand it. I'm confident that after which you solve these questions, any question that comes your way, you'll be able to solve it. Let us solve this few evaluation. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome back. I'm happy because you were able to solve the question. But if you still have any shady mind over this bearing for the first question we've solved, I'd like you to rewind back so as to get the full details. Let us proceed to know the cardinal point in these questions because we've known the bearing, the distance. Now we want to solve the cardinal point with the question we have solved earlier on. Now, if the questioner asks, how far north of H is J? How far north of H? This is H. This is J. How far north of H is J? Now, from this diagram, you see, we discover that we have J, city J, we have H. They now say, how far north of H is J? So this is going to be, this is the north. Now, what is the distance it covers? We have 450 kilometers. We have 450 kilometers. And the angle it covers is very important. It's 60 degrees. Remember, it was moving with a 60 degree. Now, here is P. We represent this place as P because it's north of J. So we have interpreted the question to be like this. Forming a right angle triangle, let's represent it as P. This is H, this is J, 60 degree and 450 kilometers. So it is this north they asked us to find, which is the value of X. Very simple. I remember when I was teaching you trigonometry ratio, where we use SOHCAHTOA method, we can apply our SOHCAHTOA method here. This is our hypotenuse side, remember? This is our opposite, because this is the angle facing this side. Wow. We can now find the north of H here, the city H here. This is the north. Good. Now we want to find how far north of H is J. That was why I told you that this is the north, this is the east, this is the west. Now, the angle at which the aeroplane flew from H to J is 60 degrees. That's why we have 60 degrees here. I told you right from the beginning when we were discussing about SOHCAHTOA, that's what we are going to apply. That is, this is the opposite, this is the hypotenuse, this is the adjacent. And the hypotenuse side is being given, it is the adjacent side we want to find. Therefore, cos 60 degrees equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, which is car. Adjacent over hypotenuse, which we have x over 450. How do we find our x? Cross multiply. X times 1, which is equal to 450 times cos 60 degree. Cos 60 degree in our calculator is 0.5. Therefore, 450 x equal to 450 times 0.5. 450 times 0.5, and the answer, check your calculator, is 225. 225 kilometer. 225 kilometer. So here is going to be 225 kilometer. The north of H, that is the distance of north of H to J, is 225 kilometer. Now, we are not yet through with this question. If we still look at, we have the north, we have the east, we have the west. Now, let us even check another cardinal point questions that said, how far is west of H? How far west of H is G? West of H is G. West of H is G. This is our west, and this is our G. How far west of H is G? Therefore, we bring out our triangle. This is 90 degree. This is our west. Our angle is here, 300 kilometer. This is our G. This is our H. But this is the western side. How far west of H is G. That's why we have to draw our diagram. Therefore, we put X here because we are looking for how far the distance of west to G. Now, the hypotenuse also has been given to be 300 kilometer. Here, this is our opposite, and here is our adjacent. Here, if you consider this angle of G here, this place will turn to our opposite, and this place will turn to our hypotenuse. Now, the angle at G is 60 degrees because they say how far west of H is G. So the angle here is what we are going to put into recognitions, like 30 degree here. So we are not going to consider the angle of H because they say how far west of what? Of H is G. So this place will turn to opposite. This place will turn to adjacent. We are considering the angle here. We are not considering the 60 degree here. We are considering 30 degree here. So now this is going to be opposite over hypotenuse. Therefore, sine 30 degree is equal to opposite x over hypotenuse, 300 kilometer. Now, cross multiply, that is x times 1 equal to 300 times sine 30 degree. 300 times sine 30 degree. We now have x is equal to 300 times 0.5, and the answer is 150 kilometer. So the west of H to G is 150 kilometer. The west of H to G is 150 kilometer. You have seen this example today, and we were able to unravel distance that move between four cardinal points, considering an aeroplane that flew from city G to city H and later flew to city H to city J, in order for us to find the distance between city G and city J. So it is the distance. The bearing is what we find. The angle that is being calibrated was 150. We use the alternative angle to find this angle here. We find the northward of city H to J. We find the westward of city H to G. So we were able to find the four cardinal points. We were able to define bearing from these questions. And the conclusion about bearing in this topic is that I will give you few evaluations, After which, if you still discover that you still find anything shady in this bearing, I like you to rewind back so that you can study the definitions of bearing, find how 4 cardinal points can be calibrated using the knowledge of bearing from this topic. Thank you.